What's up, everybody? It's your man, Dejan Amon. Welcome back to the gray area.
Oh yeah, what's up everybody? This is Eric Henderson. Welcome back to the show. So today we got a real awesome guest for y'all. So we got Myran Brewer. He's the founder of C.O.P.E Apparel, and we wanted to have him on the show to discuss his journey into the fashion industry, how he's like becoming this independent entrepreneur, and just his steps that he's going to be taking in the future and some future projects. So we wanted to just start by letting you give a little background of yourself and telling the people about how you got into this fashion industry.
Okay, so first I just want to thank the Gray Area for having me. This is definitely my first podcast. It should be fun. It should be interesting. So I'm just go ahead and dive into a little bit about me and my background. Like I said before, I am a fifth year from the University of Iowa. But my whole background is I'm from the south suburbs of Chicago. I live in Matson, Illinois. I live in a middle class, working class family. I've grown up around one brother and a mom and a dad. That's a little bit about me. I've always loved to play basketball. I've always been into clothes and a little bit of fashion. I was a big sneakerhead at one point growing up.
What was the kicks that you was rocking? The Air Force Ones, or you had?
I love Jordans. Like I was a big Jordan fan. Like when I was younger, I started making a little bit of money as a jewelry kiosk salesman. So I sold jewelry for a little bit. And I would take some of my checks and like whenever the shoes would drop, I'd be like, yeah, I need to get them, like standing in line type thing. So that's a little bit about me and some of my tastes in life. I love watching the NBA. I love watching sports, a big sports person. Yeah, I love family, love friends, those type of things. That's a little bit about me.
For sure. So then diving into like our first question, you had said that you were selling jewelry at a kiosk or something. So did you like always know like growing up that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or was that like something later down the line that she was like, all right, this seems like a little cool passion of mine. Let me see what this life is about.
Yeah, to be quite honest, no, I didn't know I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just tried a bunch of things. I think also when I was young in high school, I used to sell those shoes at Jordan. I used to go to Sneaker Con, and be like selling shoes and Jordans back and forth. I used to sell socks and shoes out of my locker at school. And never really knew like later in life this would probably be a passion of mine. But you know, I think life has a ways of revealing some of your purposes and your powers at a young age. And like I didn't know that's something that might have been for me. It made me comfortable. I'm fairly comfortable in sales. I'm fairly comfortable speaking to people in that sort of way. So I think it's just a passion that kind of revealed itself later down in life for me, that this might be an avenue for you. And yeah, that's where we are right now with it.
Were you always like the child or the kid in school that copped the latest fashion, had the freshest Jordans, had the the new hoodies and whatnot?
Yeah, I was. I definitely was the person who was always copping the fresh Jordans and everything like that. Probably should have spent my money a little bit wiser at a young age, but being young, like you don't know that, like you just want to be with the fastest and the trends, like.
I mean, but at this age, you could honestly flip Jordans like that. Jordans is a stock now. It's a stock.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like I got a couple friends who trying to start a business on copying releases for Jordans and reselling them and everything like that. But yeah, for a long while, like I was that kid. Like Jordans come out, I want to get the freshest pair. Like my school used to have. I used to go to a private school where they didn't let us wear regular clothes. We had to wear a uniform every day. So like once a month, they let us pay $1 to dress down. And like those dress down days, you make sure like you got your freshest gear on, like the freshest shoes. Like you see everybody like coming dressed to the nine, like their best on and everything like that. Like that's just how it was. Like I think this is just what made me to who I am today type thing. But yeah, like I used to always love like getting things that are different and copying Jordans. And I wasn't a big Supreme person, but the fresh and the trends was most likely where I was at.
Right. I remember back in the day, like in grammar school and high school, they had like those superlatives. They were like, oh, this is the person that maybe the most famous or the most popular. Were you the one that was like, you always got the freshest clothes and all of that shit?
Yeah, I was when I was in grade school, I had got the person who was most likely to marry a supermodel, and I didn't really know what that meant. I'm like, okay, the most likely to marry a supermodel. I'm like, okay. And people said like, her person was one of the freshest, like always dressed in. I actually didn't win that award though. The one that was like the freshest, I think I came like third. Like some people was fresher than me. I'm like, each his own. Like it's all good. Like it's no competition. Like I just do it because I like to do it. But yeah, like that's funny. That's funny you asked that.
For sure.
All right, so speaking about like Jordan and his inspiration to you with the sneakers, who's inspiring you now within fashion industry? Are you your own inspiration, or do you get it from like Kanye with Yeezy or something? I don't know.
So I think one of my biggest inspirations for how I kind of want to frame myself and my character by is Allen Iverson. I grew up watching AI.
Okay.
AI is a little bit different. He's a little bit unorthodox. He kind of changed the fashion industry in the basketball game type thing, where people used to wear suits all the time when they come to games and stuff like that. Where AI come in with his cornrows, his hat tipped to the side. You see, I got my beanie to the side. The beanie, your hat tipped to the side, and tattoos and headbands and stuff like that. And I just really think one thing I really liked about AI, he was not afraid to be himself. And I think that's one thing that came off on me, watching him do the things that he's done, reach the success he's reached, and he really didn't change who he was. A lot of people had, some views that they didn't really like his style or really like how he carried himself. But I think at a young age, I looked at AI as a role model from in the fashion industry, from the basketball stance, and just from who he is. He just carried himself different. Yeah, I think that's something I wanted to take from him, just being young and impressionable. He was definitely one of my role models growing up.
I feel like he was definitely showing his authentic self and being like,
right.
Yeah, we may be in this multi-million-dollar industry with all these professional people, like you said, wearing all these suits. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to be your true self, then people aren't going to necessarily respect you as much. They're going to think you,
right.
like we was talking a little bit earlier, how people try to fit you in a box. If you're not the true self, then they automatically assume that they can fit you in this box. So I feel you on that. AI, he was dope as fuck. It's just it made you really see yourself there.
Right. I never wanted to be a person that was easily defined. I never wanted somebody to look at me and be like, hey, I can tell your whole exact story from your appearance. I always wanted to be a little different. I've never been want to be somebody look at me and say, hey, I know what he's about. I know what he stands for type thing. So I want to be different. I want to be me type thing. And he did that. He definitely was his own person, his own man, thought for himself. Yeah. I guess I have another, a couple inspirations. I can say, I've been inspired by recently the people in my inner circle. I have a couple homies who started their own clothing brands. His name, one of the clothing brands is City of Angels, and I have another one of my friends. He runs the Young Fly Club. And they're all my age, in college and just emerging, trying to make a way for themselves in the fashion industry, just doing some things that are different. So I respect them for that. But one of my biggest inspirations recently has been with Andre Wright and the Humanize My Hoodie movement. He's located in local Iowa City. He's been a great mentor with me, teaching me about the fashion industry, trying to put me under his wing, giving me game, helping me where I need help at. So he's kind of been my inspiration. Just watching him do his business and run his business has, rubbed off on me and inspired me to try to start my own business. I can do this.
I feel like he's definitely an interesting case to look at, because I saw recently on the Instagram page that they did a little workshop at Big Grove Brewery. And it's just that's so cool to see a fashion industry, trying to have those tough conversations with people that they may not really associate with. They may not be the ones buying the gear.
Right.
He's trying to forge into that community to just bridge that gap for people, because I feel like we talked about, it's an interesting feeling being in Iowa City, but somehow he's trying to make sure that we stay connected at the end of the day.
Right, and the message he pushes and the culture he's trying to build, definitely gives me some sort of sense of feeling at home and my upbringing and growing up. Like you said, I was a little bit unorthodox, especially for students who don't identify as white and the predominance. But it's definitely giving me some sense of culture, some sense of home when I go back there and I mess with Andre and Humanize My Hoodie, and I talk to some of my friends who starting their own clothing brands and stuff like that. Very, very therapeutic to me.
So, speaking about when you first started your clothing brand, what was some of the first steps that you needed to take to say, put yourself on the map? I know sometimes it starts with the design, but from there, where do you go?
So I think it's even before it even starts with the design. I think it starts with getting over that fear. For a long time, I had a fear of trying something that was different. I always thought, I start this clothing brand, people not gonna mess with it, people not gonna like it. People gonna have things to say and not about me. Why is he doing this clothing brand? He's just trying to make money. I think he was getting over that fear and just taking that leap first and saying, this is an idea I have in my head that I really want to make it come to life. It was a dream I had. I want to make it come to life. And taking the first steps was, like you said, coming up with my mission statement, trying to hash out the design. So I talked to a couple of my friends who were gifted in graphic design and knew how to draw. And I collabed with them. Hey, I have this idea in my head. Do you think you can draw it for me? So I just started paying some of my friends to, do the small tasks. It started with coming up with my design and rehashing it, and then finally getting something that was solid to me, and then taking that to the person who I knew who did graphic design, who then would put it in the computer for me, vectorize it and everything like that. And then from there, it's creating IG pages and trying to build a culture around what your brand is. So it took me a long time to really think, but I knew I had wanted to start a clothing brand since I was a freshman. I just the ones I was thinking for beforehand just never stuck. I think this was one that really stuck and really meant something to me.
Right.
That's the big thing for me. I didn't want to produce clothes that didn't really have a sense of meaning to them. I want to be intentional, like the message that I give, like through fashion, like is really what I'm about.
Definitely.
So,
Okay,
I mean, I see on the hat you have the periods right in between each letter. Like, what's that? Is it an acronym or is that the design of it?
So it's an acronym. It stands for courage, optimism, perseverance, and endurance. It's a story about overcoming adversity. And I want this to be something that's relatable to other people. Like whatever you go through in life, just know like the pillars that I use to get through life are having courage when things don't seem like when things are unknown and you don't know what's coming next. Like having courage is to press forward, optimism, being optimistic about what goes on in your life, having a positive outlook, perseverance when things get hard and when things knock you on the ground, like you have to get back up. Like you can't be stagnant. You have to get back up. And endurance, like Nip said, like life is a marathon. Like life is not like a short run. Like we go through things in life that test us, that try us, but like having that endurance to try to get to the finish line.
I definitely feel you on that. I feel like that's what me and DJ, do you feel like we're doing the same thing like with this podcast? Like at first we was just like, oh, I'm scared to like do it. And we was talking about it for so many months, just like this is what we could do, this is what we should do. But then when we just like jumped out of our shell, we jumped into the pool, it was just like it lifted so much weight off your shoulders because it's just like, man, fear of just initially doing something is kind of crazy.
Yeah, and it feels good to be able to like to give something to the world. Like not always be taken, like not just be somebody like I'm trying to build something. I'm trying to give something to the world. Like that's definitely like getting over that leap of faith is definitely like hard. But like you just like you said, like the weight is lifted off your shoulder. Like it just feels good just to be, trying to rebrand and create yourself type thing. So yeah.
So like speaking on that, like what are some elements that you like learned so far about the fashion industry that like the common person doesn't necessarily know about and that they should know about when considering like the type of clothing that they might want to buy and stuff of that nature?
So I think a couple elements is really fashion is a way of expression. Like I said, when I growing up with me, like fashion was the way like I communicated who I was as a part of my character. Like the way I dressed is an extension of who I am type thing. So I think at its essence, like people use other forms as expression, but my expression is fashion. Like the way you clothes, wear your clothes. Like you said, like when I talk about AI, like wearing his hat to the side, like it's a different type of swag, it's a different type of fashion. Like so it's definitely like fashion. One is that fashion is an expression of yourself. Two is one thing that I learned recently, like fashion is a form of activism. When you talk about, I also related back to AI when I was talking to my mentor. He was saying that little do you know, like AI was a fashion activist. He changed the game. Like he pushed a positive message. He was for himself. Like he changed how people wear their clothes, like what they think is stylish, what they think the new trend is, as well as like in the light of what was going on during that time. Like he was just being truly himself. And like we think about what's going on in today's age, we're being in a racial pandemic. We look at athletes like LeBron who's wearing Justice Breonna Taylor shirts and those sort of things. Like I can't breathe. Like yeah, it's more than just clothes. It's a message that's being pushed, and that is like what we're kind of getting into. What I've learned recently now is like fashion is definitely a form of activism.
So, and trying to understand what makes you different from the other person. What is your brand's drip, sauce, swag, stilo, all those words,
But I think what is our drip? What is the brand's drip sauce?
Well, now you had that satin line that I saw recently, boy. I saw that. Damn, you for real?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for my brand is I want people to know that this is something that's for Black people, made by Black people. So that's when I started doing some customer feedback and getting some other people's opinions on how I can make my products better. And like he was like satin line beanies. Like one girl told me satin line beanies. I was like, let me see if I can get that done because like this is for my people. Like this is for the people like where I come from and everything like that. So I want to give them what they want. So I definitely think like this is a brand for Black people by Black people type thing. Not being exclusive to anybody, but like that is my main target audience. My main target audience is people who look like me. I'm just so impacted by the people around me. Like Black culture is beautiful. Like from the way we dress, from the way we talk, from the way we walk, like it's just beautiful. It's different. Like it has its own essence type thing. Like I get inspiration from a lot of people in my circle. Like they can rock and wear anything and look great doing it. Like and I want my piece of clothing to be different. Like the way I style my clothes, like I have a hoodie on right now, and like normally people put things on both sleeves. I put it on both sleeves to change the design. Like I got a thing on the back as well, but I just want to be unique. I want to be different. I want to style my clothes different. Like I want to have a different feel. Yeah.
Right. And what you were saying about other people, like this is exclusively for Black people. You're not excluding everybody. So other coaches could come along. They don't have to coach or vote, but you can support Black businesses because we're on that movement right now. So anybody that's hearing this that's an ally, support shop with Black businesses.
Definitely. I think to go even a step further, what I've become to realize, and just from being in this pandemic, is we do need to support Black businesses. Like, I think I had to talk to one of my friends, and he was saying that we are some of the people who don't really invest back into our own culture and everything. Like, we go and buy name brands and big national things and stuff like that, but really investing in at home. Like, like I started investing in some of my friends who started a catering business. I got two friends, Kalen Culinary's Adventures and Chef TK. They started their own business. Like, I'm trying to, Yeah, Chef T. Yeah. But I try to invest in them, like when I want to get my small dessert treats from TK, or if I want to get a full lasagna meal, or I want to get a pasta meal from Kaylin. Like I'm trying to buy more black now because it's important that we do buy black now.
Oh, yeah. So then, like, on that note of like buying black and like trying to stay along that line, what are some of your future plans for your brand and like some future projects that you're trying to dive into?
So I think it goes back to why I say, like, I want my brand to have a purpose and a message. I don't just want to sell clothes. Like, I want to push a message. So I think the next project for me is getting testimonials, like people telling their own stories, and like putting those on the page, putting those on the website, like those who are comfortable sharing some of the adversities they face, the challenges they face in their life, and like how they overcame those challenges, like how did they feel, like those type of things. Like the empowerment piece of my brand is like that next thing I want to step into. And I'm glad like I got this opportunity here because I couldn't really figure out a way that wasn't so self-absorbed. Like I have videos of me speaking about my brand, talking about my brand, but like I feel like that's so self-absorbed. I didn't really want to portray the message that like, okay, like I have everything figured out. Like this is about me. Like, so when this opportunity came along, I said this is a great way for me to tell what my brand is about, be authentic in that, and like, so I think it was a great idea. Like definitely, I want to push the message.
For sure.
So, where can they find your Instagram, websites, link trees, and anything else? So we need to be able to shop with you, bro.
Yeah, man.
So on IG, I'm at C.O.P.E COPE.Apparel. C.O.P.E Apparel. And I believe it's the same thing for my Facebook. And then on my URL, it's COPEapparel.com. You can find me. I have hoodies right now, hats, t-shirts, but I'm trying to get my satin line beanies back because that was a hot seller. Like people love the satin line beanies for sure. But
They
yeah, you
sold
can
out?
find me. Yeah, my satin ones, man, they sold out within 3 days. I was all out. 3 days, I was all out.
I wanted one, bro. I wanted one. I was like, damn, I was too late. That's why I was like, let me get this interview with him so he know to make sure to put one aside.
I got one on right now. Man.
Y'all see that, people? That's official right there.
Exactly. Y'all better get it because it's winter time, and if you're from the Midwest, you're gonna need that to keep your hair warm.
Yeah,
And keep your waist. He got satin in his knee, bro. He got satin.
Y'all even need a rag no more.
I have it. I was a waiver before all of this. Like I was like, literally, I just made a small transition. I think I want to start to grow my hair out, but I was a waiver about 3-4 weeks ago. It was a heavy waiver, so I was like, this can help my wave game. Like I don't have to put a do rag on anymore to put my hats on. Like ladies, if you got braids or natural hair, like you don't got to put bonnets on. I know some of my lady friends who sleep in their hats. I'm like, more power to you if you want to.
That's a game changer right there.
But if y'all gonna do, you need to buy at least 2. I need one for the outside and one to sleep on, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they sleep in them. Like, yeah, my friends love them. They're comfortable. They're thick. One thing I definitely pride myself on in my brand is I pick quality over quantity. So like, some of my pieces may be like my hoodies are a little bit pricey because of the quality of the hoodie. Hats are fairly fair because of the quality of the hoodie. But I would rather pick quality and give people a quality product versus saying, not giving them a quality product just being about quantity. Like I don't really like that. That takes away from what my brand is. My brand is more intentional and more sacred type thing. So I want to keep it that way. Make sure I be intentional how I give people. So I craft out the whole. I got packaging, C.O.P.E Apparel packaging. I put a little letter in the bag for the whole experience, kind of like modeling what these big name brands do. They give you the whole experience. Like I want to give you the whole experience, like a little note in there with your product, label and the packaging. So when people get a black package, a polymetal with C.O.P.E Apparel, and they get excited, like they start posting about it and everything like that. Like that's what I want. Like I want people to be excited when we receive something, not just like, okay, like the t-shirt's dope, but like what about the whole experience type thing. So I definitely got to keep working on that and finding ways to be continue to advance and continue to grow. But yeah.
All right. So guys, this is how we're gonna end the show. Hit up my man Myran if you want anything C.O.P.E Apparel related. He got you. He got the movement. He got the message. He got anything you need. He got it. All right.
Exactly. And we want to just thank you, man, of course, for taking the time out of your day to come and speak with the people, share about your brand, and like getting your message out to people, man. We really appreciate that. And like you said, man, support Black businesses, support people in general, support our podcast, share, subscribe. You already know what y'all got to do. And, check out next week for the next episode, man.
Yeah, thank you to the Gray Area for having me, man. It was a blast. I hope we can do one time soon for sure.